and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to this video that's going to be us breaking down the holiday releases of 2020. Where are they now? I have done this video before. I did it last December. I might even have done it the year before. Basically talking about the things that we thought were so cool and different for holiday last year. Do we even remember them? Do we even think about them? Because I'm gonna be honest, when I went through this and when I looked at the holiday releases from last year, some of these I forgot about them. So we're just gonna have a chat about it. And if you haven't been here before, if this is your first video here, hello, my name is Angie. I'm such a lover of beauty makeup. I love everything beauty makeup related. I especially love things that are a little bit colorful, like this makeup look that I have on right now. I did this look for Instagram. I'll leave a link to it down below. If you want to see some more makeup on your timeline, if you want to see some more color on your timeline, definitely do subscribe because, well, normally I upload 5 videos a week, but right now I'm uploading every day until Christmas. The whole point of me doing this kind of a video was to break down the things that we really hype about, the things that are limited edition that we think is going to be like something that's going to survive in our collection, things that we just really want to get and how easily we forget about them. And just to have this in the back of our mind as we're shopping for this holiday season, to not overspend or to think that something is irreplaceable or so special in our collection or like the prettiest thing I've ever seen, because we forget about all of these things, all of these cool items, all of these limited edition things. With time, they just aren't that special anymore. So don't overspend in the holiday season. And to just cement this, we're gonna go through all of the holiday releases that I remember, or like at least from the bigger brands from last year, and I'm gonna let you know what they were. I'm gonna let you know if I feel like they survived, if they were like made a lasting impression on the beauty community. And if you feel like I missed something, please do let me know down below. I'm gonna start with the ones that I didn't buy, and then we're gonna end with the ones that I actually have myself in my collection. Sounds good to you? Let's start. You know what? Let me actually scoochy a little bit so we can pop up some pictures on the side, because I want to show some pictures of the ones that I don't have. The first one is the KVD Vegan Beauty. Now it's like Caria Veritas Dinner Decentria. I don't know. Listen, this brand right here. Remember when KVD was the most hype brand when it came to holiday releases? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Do you remember like the Mi Vida Loca and that like the Chapel Door palette? I don't remember. Those palettes were so hyped. This palette? Do you remember this palette? I don't even know what it's called. Do you remember it? I don't even listen. I don't know if I have seen a single review of this on YouTube. I don't know if I've heard a single person say that this was beautiful. I have swatched a couple of the new KVD, like the Planet something, those new palettes. I've swatched them at Sephora. The quality seems really pretty, but at this point I think what the brand needs for people to really be trying that new formula is they need some kind of a revolutionary color story, something that's unique, that will make people go like, you know what, I'm gonna get this. And this color story just was not that. This color story just was not that. Another collection that I actually think, and I've heard people refer back to this collection this year, is the collection from Kylie Cosmetics that was the Grinch theme. This was cool. This was a cool collab, and even though I don't necessarily appreciate, like, the thing with Kylie is that since this is a celebrity brand, it already feels like it is, like every collection is like a collab with Kylie, and now it's like a collab with Kylie and the Grinch. And in the promo picture she was like dressing up with like green fur. Yes, it was as weird as it sounds, but the bottom line is though that this collection was really cute. The color story was cute, the packaging was cute, it was this like cartoony thing. It was cute, and I don't remember exactly why I didn't get it. It's not that I'm sad that I missed it, but I don't think I would have hated it if I had it. I think that she did good with this collection. What is she having as a collection this year? I don't even remember, but she did something for Halloween with the... Was it Friday 13th? Or was it Halloween? I can't remember which one. I'm so sorry. One of the two. I'm not into horror. So she seems to be doing these kind of collabs, but it's still... It ends up being a little bit like Kylie dresses up as a new franchise. Like, yeah, let's just leave it at that. Oh, okay. this is how I have thoughts about this. This is whatever in line, like this is Hourglass holiday collection. Do you know the one they do every year? For forever? Like ever? I don't understand. This used to be so hype. Let me rephrase. When I started doing YouTube videos, this is when this holidays palette like started. They were doing this holiday palette when I was starting getting into the beauty community. I think it was like the second or the third year, and people are still extremely hyped about this holiday palette from Hourglass, where you were able to sample their products, you were able to try different things. It wasn't really the best deal economically, but it was still more affordable than trying all of the different brands in full sizes. Like you got to sample the brand. But with time, this whole idea has become a little bit tired. They're doing the same thing again and again and again. This was 2020, 2021, they're doing the same thing but in two shades. I mean, at least that's good. A lighter and a darker one, I mean, that's something. But still, like 2022, Hourglass, there needs to be something else, something more. This cannot be the only idea you have for holiday. Or maybe they are a one-trick pony like Becca, which is dead, by the way, so yeah, there's that. There has to be something else that you think that people would be interested in for holidays besides a sampling of your powders. If that's all your brand is, like, or maybe that is all their brand is. Are these still popular? Did this sell out? Did this sell out this year? I don't know, but this was last year's. I mean, if you have it, you have it. I guess. We also have this, I don't remember the name of this Charlotte Tilbury palette, but this is the one that came out last year. She did release one this year that was fairly similar, and I feel, for me, I feel the same. It's like you have a concept, maybe this is the thing, maybe this is working so good. Maybe there are people out there that will buy this palette every year, or that will buy this as a gift for people. Maybe this is like so amazing, but for me, and I'm speaking for me here, you're gonna have to let me know if you feel differently, which is totally fine. I am not mad at you if you don't agree with me. For me, I get so tired of brands that just keep releasing super similar things again and again and again. It just, I'm yawning, I'm bored, I move on. Not that Charlotte Tilbury's eyeshadows have ever been super intriguing to me, but they're so similar. I think she's released 3 palettes like this 3 years in a row, like 2019, 2020, 2021. Not mistaken, there could be earlier as well, but this is from what I remember. And there are 3 fairly similar palettes. Not dupes, but like similar enough as to where you're like, maybe we could do something else 2022. I don't know. Did you buy this palette? Did you buy this year's palette? I just don't see anyone really talking about this. Something that I see people talking about, although I would love to hear your opinion, because the Pat McGrath Holiday Collection 2021, this was the year when she first did that big palette. I don't remember the price, but she did the same this year. Do you feel like they are so similar that you didn't want to own both? Because I feel a lot of people were super hyped about the palette last year, and it was very shimmer heavy, which was the reason I didn't buy it. This year's also very shimmer heavy, again, it's the reason I didn't buy it. They're just too shimmer heavy. I like palettes to be either 50-50, or if I can choose, 1 or 2 more mattes. That's my preferred aesthetics. I mean, I'm wearing an all matte look today. I will, at least now, in my 20s I did sometimes, but at least now I will never do a full shimmer look, but I quite often do an all matte look. And that's just my preference. I know a lot of people that enjoy a full shimmer look, so there's nothing wrong with it, but that is just the reason why I didn't pick it up. But do you feel like 2 really big shimmer heavy palettes like this, that are not dupes, but maybe at least somewhat similar, do you feel like do you feel like you wanted the second palette as much as you wanted the first palette? Do you feel like they're both equally exciting? Because I feel like her holiday collection, for being a luxury brand, Pat McGrath is expensive. For being a luxury brand, I feel like her holiday collections have just evolved exponentially. They're just becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're pretty pricey. So I'm always surprised when really expensive brands come out with really big collections, because it's like, yeah, there's something for everyone, but it's like, that's a lot. And it's a lot of money, because some people love a brand and they want to buy everything. And at this point, you cannot be a collector of Pat McGrath anymore unless you're literally putting half your paycheck into Pat McGrath's website every month. So I don't know, what do you think about this? I do hear a lot of people referring back to this big palette, saying they loved it. I just don't know if I feel the same hype about the one this year. So I do think that that one was a hit, but it's going to be very interesting to see if she does the exact same thing next year, if people are going to be as interested. The quads and the lipsticks, haven't heard a single soul talk about it. Pretty sure people didn't love that highlighter either, but that they really enjoyed the highlighter from this year. So maybe she did it a little bit different. Or am I remembering this incorrectly? I haven't heard anyone mention the highlighter from last year. That I can tell you for sure. Next, let's talk about Too Faced. Too Faced always does the most. The most when it comes to holiday things, and they usually have two different collections. And I don't think that this is like, I don't know if this is how they see their two different collections, but this is me as a makeup lover, as a makeup reviewer. This is how I see their two different collections. I see one collection that is like gift packs and like those, usually they're like some kind of a winter wonderland themed palettes. They are more seen as like gift ideas or giftable things, the packs and those like there were some chateaus in France, and now there's something Eiffel Tower. Is there always France? Is France a thing? But I'm just saying that they have those more giftable, not necessarily maybe for the lover of makeup, more giftable makeup. And then they have collections that are like either those what was it last year? Was it pumpkin spice last year? And it was cinnamon swirl this year, and they also had those small tin packaging palettes. Those I hear people refer to. People seem to really love the pumpkin spice one, and I heard a lot of people buying the cinnamon swirl palette this year based on how much they loved the pumpkin spice one. So I think that Too Faced have made a smart move, dividing their collections into more giftable things that maybe necessarily isn't for people that buy a lot of makeup all year round, and maybe some items that are more for people that are actually into the makeup community, buying a lot of makeup, maybe buying a lot of Too Faced, those more collectible palettes like the tin package palettes. I see more people buying and actually really enjoying those. I didn't buy any of them because they're all very neutral leaning, but I think that they have made a smart move the past, I think this is the third year in a row when they're doing something like this, and I do think that it's fairly smart because it seems like people are enjoying those more palettes in the tin packaging. Then we have Tarte that did not get the memo. Honestly, when I was filming this, I haven't talked about the Tarte holiday release of this year because I hadn't seen anything. I've only seen like packs. I hadn't seen anything new. I have seen it now, so I will talk about it, but they seems like they're doing the same thing this year as they did last year, which is that they're releasing a pack of smaller palettes in a big, like a pack of palettes. And I mean, I guess it's very giftable. From this year, one of the palettes was a new palette. It was the mini juicy palette. It was a new one, but you had to buy it together with two that was already existing. It was all just very weird. And then they came out with that juicy palette in a 12 pan and I think 20 pan. It was all just very mystifying and weird. So if you are interested in Tarte's holiday release from this year and you don't want to buy the pack of palettes, don't worry. It seems that they are going to beat that dead horse to the ground. So you're going to see that color scheme all throughout 2022. So don't buy the pack unless you want all the palettes. Honestly, Tarte has a color scheme. It's browns and mauves and they're just running with it. It's their color scheme. The end. This holiday release actually got me giggling because this is the holiday release from Morphe and it is so incredibly similar to this year's holidays from Morphe that I'm just like, it's funny! It's funny because they are so similar. Again, it's a big neutral palette and it's also like browns and mauves. Who remembers this? I didn't remember this and it even made me giggle because it's so similar to this year's palette. I'm actually wondering if they're the same palette. I have no idea. This was the collection last year from MAC. I didn't think that the collection last year from MAC was good, and I don't think the collection from this year from MAC is good either. There's something about the packaging and the way that it's presented that just haven't been good. I know a lot of people really loved some items from last year's collection. There was some I think, highlighter palettes and some single shadows that were really good. But MAC is doing the same thing as some of these other brands. They have a mold, they have a holiday mold, and they're just fitting the new year in the same mold. It's all it's all the same. It's just a new packaging, and sometimes the packaging is good, sometimes the packaging is bad, but there's never anything really innovative when it comes to MAC and holiday anymore, which is a shame because it used to be the most interesting holiday release. And I feel like, who talks about items from MAC holiday? Not like nobody. It is just not rememberable at all. I thought that this was really interesting because when I was looking at the Anastasia holiday release of 2020, it was actually the mini, what was it called? The mini nude palette? What is it called? I don't even remember what it's called. Soft Glam 2. Yes, the mini Soft Glam that had 6 shades from the original Soft Glam, and then it had 2 shades. I'm pretty sure it's 2 shades from the Norvina palette. I think it's that. So it's all existing shades from 2 different palettes. I don't know if this was a hit or not. I don't think that this was necessarily trying to flirt with the beauty community or with people that are already like in love with the brand. I think that this was more trying to flirt with people buying gifts or people trying the brand for the first time. I have no idea if this is a hit or not. And I think the reason why I don't know that is because people on YouTube weren't making videos on this or weren't talking about this, because if you really love Anastasia, you already own the 2 palettes that they were picking shades from, so maybe this release just wasn't that interesting. But I don't know what they're doing this year. Are they doing something specific this year? I don't think I've seen it as I'm filming this, but there could be something. One of the things that I think is the things that survive the best in the beauty community, not necessarily outside of the beauty community, but the things that survive the best inside the beauty community and with people that really love makeup when it comes to holiday releases, it is holiday releases that are not necessarily holiday themed. Things that are released around holiday time that is not necessarily holiday themed, or they have a theme that's more loosely tied to the holiday season and that is either not limited edition, like they're just releasing a item around holiday time but it's not limited edition, or something that is limited edition but not necessarily like themed around holiday. And one of those things is the Huda Beauty Naughty palette that came out last year. I didn't buy it because I thought it was just another one of the Huda Beauty like mauve neutral palettes, but this palette was very well received. People love this palette. Apparently the quality was amazing. I still hear people raving about this palette. So I think that this was definitely a hit from last season that is still around. And I feel like maybe the palette from the year before, which was the Mercury Retrograde, same thing, big palette around the holiday season, not necessarily holiday themed, people still love it. This year it is the Rose Quartz palette, exact same thing, big palette around the holiday, not necessarily holiday themed. I think that Huda Beauty is onto something, and it seems like the palettes she are releasing in holiday time are good quality and pretty well loved. When it comes to Colourpop, it's sometimes very hard to know what's holiday with Colourpop, but because everything's worth celebrating when it comes to Colourpop. But the thing that they said was holiday release was the, I don't remember exactly the name, it was the Ménage à Moi, and then there was like a mauve palette and a neutral khaki palette. I have heard people kind of liking these palettes. Are they super raved about palettes that are really loved within the beauty community? I don't know about that, but I don't think that these were palettes that people were necessarily not liking. Of course, Colourpop has also released a million different packs. This picture really sums up how overwhelming Colourpop can be. The amount of things that they're releasing within a holiday season, it is almost crazy. Like, it's almost crazy. And I also wanted to mention that they did release the Hocus Pocus collection last year, and for holiday season I am also counting like Halloween, because there is quite a lot of brands that will do Halloween as their holiday release instead of Christmas themed. We're going to talk about 2 brands in just a bit. So for Colourpop, every occasion is an occasion worth releasing a collection around, and I do think that the Hocus Pocus collection definitely survived. It is a collection that a lot of people are still referring back to, that a lot of people are still loving. I know several people that say that the Hocus Pocus palette is their best, or at least like their top 3 best palettes, favorite palettes from Colourpop. So I think that that collection was doing better than the other collection. I think that there are 2 different roads that brands take with holiday collections. Either they do something that's more on the neutral, giftable side that will fit more people, or they do something really spacey and different that might not fit as many people, but the people that it fits, they will really, really love it. And I feel like Colourpop, I mean, they release enough collections to be able to do, well, all of it. Okay, first I want to mention something that's maybe a little bit different, but the holiday release from Fenty Beauty last year, I will actually pop up a little picture here of the mini palette that they released as well, but they also released this set. I didn't buy the mini palette because I haven't really heard the best things about the Fenty eyeshadow quality, and I think the set that they released for this year was even less liked than this one from last year. So they released this little set with a Diamond Glow highlighter in a mini size, a full size of a cream blush, and the lip gloss all in the Fenty Glow color. And as you can see, I still have all 3 of them. I thought this set was really good. I know that this year they released a set that was a peach set, and a lot of people were tagging me in the picture showing that it was very orange, but actually that picture was very manipulated because the set isn't very orange, it is a peach set, so I didn't end up buying that one. But I thought that that set from Fenty is just a really smart set, releasing 3 items that are pretty liked in the brand in just limited edition colors. I don't know about this palette though, I haven't heard a single thing about the palette that was released. I don't think anyone's like really holding on to that one, but yeah, I thought the set was really good and it's still in my collection. I did purchase it, and actually when I was researching for this video, I realized I bought quite a lot of holiday releases from last year. I have no idea what my thought process was, but I also bought the holiday set from Juvia's Place. I love Juvia's Place, and they are releasing something quite similar this year as they did last year. So do take this into consideration. Do you think that you still remember the holiday sets from last year? Are you wishing you bought them? Do you own them? Do you use them? Yes, no. Do you need the ones from this year? There were 2 different palettes, like 2 different sets with palettes and lip products. It was this one, a little bit more of the yellowy one, and then it was this one that was a little bit more of the purpley one. Both of them had 1 pressed glitter, which I think the ones from this year has as well, and it was just a monochromatic color story. I thought that both of these were really good, but I will be honest, I don't reach for any of these palettes now if I need a yellow or if I need a purple. And for that reason, I'm actually going to give both of these away. They have been declutters from my collection. I'm going to give them away to someone around me before we move. So, I mean, take that into consideration. I love them. I really did love them, but I have so many things in my collection. So if you are like me and you also have a lot of things in your collection, do keep in mind, like, what do you reach for? Does it fill a purpose in your collection? Because right now these do not fill a purpose in my collection. That's why I got rid of them, even though I still think they're really good quality. And it's the same with this one. This is the Urban Decay Stone Vibes. This was released quite early last year, but this was the holiday release for Urban Decay last year. Packaging, stunning. Palette, beautiful. I didn't necessarily love the satin shade down here, but I decluttered this one because this is a very shimmer heavy palette and I never reach for it. If I want something neutral, this isn't what I'm gonna reach for, because when I want something neutral, I will reach for my favorite neutral mattes, not my favorite neutral shimmers. Like, that's not what I'm gonna reach for. And these like greens and stuff here, they're not poppy or special enough for me to reach for these over my indie shadows. Like, they're not. And this is something also to remember for this year, because last year they released this quite early in the season, and then they released different packs with this one or with other like mascaras and setting sprays with this like more limited edition packaging. Limited edition packaging, but like non-limited edition items. And I think they're doing the same this year with the Urban Decay Naked Cyber. So I would say, again, if you already own exciting shimmers in your collection from indie brands or more elevated special formulas, either this one or the Urban Decay Naked Cyber, they're not going to fill a void in your collection. this has also been decluttered. And then it was the BH Cosmetics holiday release, the Naughty palette. This is such a pretty palette. This one was a big one though, and I don't reach for super big palettes, and I have so many BH Cosmetics palettes, so I actually would say that I have most of these colors in BH Cosmetics in other palettes, and that is the reason why I'm decluttering this one. It is a very Christmas themed holiday palette with a lot of shades for a pretty decent price for getting this many good shades. This was the good BH Cosmetics quality formula, and I will say the palette from this year, I do have a video up on that one. It is fairly similar to this one, and that is the reason why I'm getting rid of this one, because the one from this year, it's so similar to this one. Not dupes, but so similar, and I have so much BH Cosmetics that I don't need a big palette like this. So think about that when you look at the BH Cosmetics holiday palette from this year. Do you own a lot of BH Cosmetics? Because if you do, I don't think you need that palette. Do you own this palette from BH Cosmetics? Again, I don't think you need the one from this year. Or it's perfect though if you don't own a lot of BH Cosmetics and you prefer having one bigger palette over having several small ones, and you really want to try out the BH Cosmetics quality. You will get a lot of shades to choose from. They're really good quality, but again, don't buy it just because like, oh my god, there's so many shades and it's like a good quality. If you already own them, you already own them. So the reason why I'm getting rid of this one is because it's discontinued, and the palette from this year is actually so similar to this one that I don't feel like I need both. Now we are getting into two palettes that I am keeping. This is the Melt Cosmetics and Beetlejuice collection that they did. They did a collaboration with Beetlejuice, and this is what I mean, like it's more Halloween themed and not more loosely tied to the season. And even though it was super limited edition, this was a very popular collection, and it is sold out and no longer available. And it has this like the plastic you see, it's from the movie. It's so cool, and yeah, I'm keeping both of the palettes. They're really good quality, and even though I don't think that this is Melt's best color story, this is the Waiting Room. Again, this also has, this is Miss Argentina instead on the plastic, and this is what this one looks like. And even though I don't think that this is like Melt's best color story by any stretch of the imagination, it is very collectible. It is the good Melt quality, and I really love the palettes. And I think that like, this is what I said, like, is it necessarily very giftable? No, this is for the makeup lover, the makeup consumer, like the one that loves to buy makeup and use makeup and that probably owns more than one palette. That's what this collection is for. It's for those people. So I don't think that this is like as giftable, but still like the people that love makeup and that buy makeup all around, they are usually pretty excited. Where am I gonna put things? Buy a collection like that. And I think the same about this one, although me guessing, shot in the dark, this is probably the most popular palette from Lunar Beauty. I'm just gonna guess because it is a neutral palette, and I think that people love neutral palettes, and this is a neutral palette. This is a neutral palette with a pop of blue that's a little bit more interesting. I mean, I own it, I bought this one, and again, this is the holiday release from last year, but it's not really tied into the holiday season. It is a little darker, it is a little more festive maybe, because it has all of these sparkly shades here at the top row. But is it holiday themed? Not really, but this is the holiday release from Lunar Beauty, and I don't think that this is limited edition. I think it's still available on the site, and I will say this is one of my favorite neutral palettes. If I am reaching for a neutral palette to make a neutral look, this is one of the ones that I actually think about, and I reach for it and I want it. So this was a really good release, and I think that this was a smart release. Again, just like Huda Beauty releases a palette around holiday season for holiday, this wasn't necessarily holiday themed, and I do think, this is just me guessing, I do think that this is probably the most popular palette from Lunar Beauty because it is more neutral and because it has this very cool front. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if that is what it is. The last palette that I bought is the Natasha Denona Trio Chrome. This is a Trio Chrome like front as well. I know that her multi-chrome formula are called chromes, and people were a little bit surprised about why this was called the Trio Chrome palette when there was only 3 multi-chromes in here. Why like she didn't put more in here? But her multi-chrome formula is called chromes, and it is a trio of chromes. That's why. Does it make sense? I don't know, but that is why. This was the holiday release from Natasha Denona last year. It's still available. I think that this is probably in the same way as she's treating the Metropolis palette, which is that it is limited edition, but not like limited edition for short amount of time. Same with the Love palette. Like, she's saying that all of these palettes are limited edition, which means that if she wants to discontinue them and stop restocking them, she's able. So I don't think that this will be around for forever. It is a really good palette, but I have not reached for this palette a lot, and it's a shame because it's so fun. I kind of want to use it now, although I will say I really love the look that I have on. But yeah, this is a palette that I really need to reach for more. I just really like it. It's fun and it's different, and these mattes might look light, but these are extremely pigmented and they show up like a boss on the eyes. So yeah, it's a very fun palette. Will say though, this is, if you love Natasha Denona mattes and you want to have a pop of just some multichromes, this is it. Are these the most multichrome formula on the market? No. If you have multichromes from like indie brands like Cleonad or Terra Moon or something like that, these are not that. These are not that. These are more like multichromes, but with a classic satin or like shimmer formula. They're not dull, but they're definitely not that super high shine. They're definitely multichrome, they're definitely good quality, but they're not that intense liquid metal. That's not what they are, and if I'm explaining this in a good way. But this is a green to an olive to a gold. This is like a gray bronze to a purple, and then you have this like green gold purple, which is a classic multichrome, but it is a green to a gold to a purple, like mauve pink purplish. It's very pretty. These are beautiful shades. That is a beautiful palette, and again, it is a palette that is released around the holiday time, not necessarily holiday themed, and not necessarily like super limited edition and like discontinued. I don't know though if this was like a super big hit as the Metropolis palette was. I'm not 100% sure. It might be because people were getting used to her having those slightly more affordable $65 palettes, and this was the $129 palette. So maybe that is the reason why this one wasn't as popular, because people were like, why are we paying $129 when we can just wait for her next $65 palette? And I do think that the palette from this year, the holiday palette for 2021, which is the retro palette, I think that is probably going to be, I'm guessing that is top 3 her most popular palettes. That's just me taking a stab in the dark, because that is a color story that people really love, with a price tag that they can get on board with. Let me know, which was your favorite holiday release of 2020? Like, was there a release where you're like, I'm so happy I got that one, it really did withstand the test of time in my collection, I still use it, I still love it? Is this something you regret? Is this something that you shouldn't have bought? Please let me know. And also let me know, is there a release that you really loved that I didn't talk about? I mean, I did try to talk about the brands that I usually talk about in my new makeup releases, but let me know, maybe there's something that I'm missing that I should have talked about. Please don't forget to subscribe as well, because I do upload every day until Christmas. At least I'm doing my absolute best. I'm saying I'm uploading every day until Christmas, but we are moving towards the end of December, so if I miss an upload towards the end of December, it's because I'm busy doing other things. But don't forget to subscribe. I will have a video tomorrow as well. I hope you're having a really good day, and I will see you then. Bye!